We are live. Welcome back. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm your host, Blake Rafino. Almost forgot my name there for a minute. Got distracted. But I am Blake Rafino. Who is Blake Rafino? Why is Blake Rafino? But we are live. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Hope everyone is making it a good one. We know that we are as well. Huge show in store for you tonight. It's the BK takeover, y'all. Spring football is here. Can I get a hell yeah? As Brian Kelly will do his press conference tomorrow, what I'll be listening for, what we know he's going to tell you as we have rubbed out our crystal ball to see what he's going to tell you. We'll talk about spring football. Also, why LSU needed Jaden Daniels more than Jaden Daniels needed LSU. It's going to be something that may be tough to hear for some, but something that needed to be heard from all or to all on why LSU needed Jaden Daniels more than the opposite. What McMahon, the new LSU head basketball coach, needs to deliver LSU in 3 subtle years. We will touch on that as his press conference will be tomorrow at 2. Carter the Power Bryant will be joining us. The man, the myth, the legend himself will be joining us. And if we have some time there at the end, we'll do some NFL free agency. Normally, we don't get to the very last topic, but we're going to try tonight. We're going to try to do that here tonight. Oh. I almost forgot. And we have a Rafino's rant about the LSU media taking small little pot shots at 18 to 20-year-olds. Dude, you're 66. Grow up, Peter Pan. If you're going to take a shot at somebody, why don't you take a shot at somebody like me who's got more followers than you do on social media? And the reason why you don't want to take those pot shots is because you know that you're going to lose. The holier-than-thou media at LSU has to come to an end. Ron Higgins, you have an open invitation to this show. You want to debate it? Let's debate it. Don't clap for Kim Mulkey, Rabelais writing hit pieces for The Advocate. Getting an attorney who writes hit pieces for The Advocate. You think I didn't notice? Oh, hell yeah, I noticed. If you're going to get a baseless-ass attorney to come out here and write hit pieces on why LSU deserves the death penalty, and then you're going to allow it to be published, but yet you're going to make fun of a student media worker, why don't you come in here and talk about it? Because there's one thing I hate more than the Alabama Crimson Tide, and that's a bully. Or someone who appears to be a bully on social media. Bring as what's that dude? DC would say from Wild and Out. Bring that ass here, boy. Funny when a dude's bigger, taller, more handsome, got a better looking wife than everybody. Yes, I'm calling my wife the hottest woman on earth. Boom shakalaka. Invite you in here. Don't bully people online, dog. That's one thing I can't stand. We will touch on that tonight. Maybe Carter the Power Bryant, who does have a Big J journalism degree. We will ask him those questions too. Don't bully people on social media, dog. Just don't do it. All right. Let's get to a couple of comments before we get started. Oh, God, dog it, it's Tuesday. I forgot to put in the hashtag Ask Blake, but we'll get into it. Thank you to the Golden Boot Pod. But the Golden Boot Pod says hashtag Ask Blake. Would you rather have 10 NIL deals or private school pressure money? Private school pressure money. Here's another one. Would you rather have a thin crust pizza from Domino's? This is not a paid advertisement from Domino's. Or would you like to have cheese on your honey bun? You guys are missing out on Twitter Spaces, dog. You're missing out. Speaking of Big Pressure and all the money that he has, he says Big Pressure is in the building. Welcome, Pressure. We greatly appreciate you joining us. Nurse Court says, hashtag the BK takeover. It is. As Brian Kelly. Oh my God, guys, are we gonna get a tight end? Holy shit. Holy mother of God. Oh my God. Brian Kelly can magically recruit. It's the luck of the Irish. St. Patty's Day is past. Holy mackerel. Y'all trust him. Y'all trust people in media way too much, dog. Way too much. All right. Let's get rolling. Let's pay some bills around this thing. Everybody do us a favor and hit the like and share. We're going to fire right off in spring practice why Jane Daniels was needed more at LSU, more than he needed LSU. We'll fire that off right at the top of the show. Then we'll get into Rafino's rants. So like, share, subscribe. If you're on Facebook, hit the like button. There's so many of you that watch us on Facebook. When you have an average watch time of 18 minutes, I know that you're watching the beginning of the show. 18, 19, 20 minutes, which is pretty standard, by the way, I might add, on our show. Everybody hit the like button, hit the share. There's multitudes of you right now that need to hit the like button and the share to some Facebook groups. If you're on YouTube, hit that subscribe button and notification bell. We're going to be, like I told you, and I've been telling you, we're going to be putting more content out on YouTube and social media using that platform. So go subscribe and hit the notification bell. I'm going to tell you, if you're not subscribed, we're going to be putting some inside stuff and things that we're hearing around spring practice, starting on YouTube and videos and stuff like that. So you need to subscribe. You need to hit that notification bell there as well. It's free for you. I don't know why people ask me why I have to subscribe. Blake, how much is it? It's free to subscribe on YouTube. I've never charged anybody any money. Ever. Nobody. If you're listening to us on the audio podcast platform, we do, speaking of money, do feel like a giveaway is coming. So if you're listening right now, at the end of the show, go over to Apple or Spotify and rate and review. Leave a review. We'll put your name into the drawing for the giveaway. So do that. All right. Let's get started. Also, we do have Zach Lee with us. He is behind the scenes. He is running all of this. He's running the show. So producer Lee is in the building. He is what we like to call the AYS Dr. Dre. Maybe a little bit too much praise for my man. It's only day 2. We're not even full 2 episodes in. Let's see. All right, let's pay some bills. None better than our good friends over at GM Varno & Sons. BetOnline.ag. Guys, with over 65 years of experience, nobody's better equipped to service in your vehicle than GM Varno & Sons. RV repair, big rig overhauls, motorhome chassis, routine maintenance, tire rotations, tire sales. No job is too big or too small over at GM. Give them a call today at 225-664-9992. That's 225-664-9992. And tell me good friend Blake Rafino over at AYS sent you on by. And our good friends over at betonline.ag, guys, have been telling you about BetOnline for such a long time now. March Madness is still here. We got the NBA. We got college spring football. You want to bet on national champions? You want to do prop bets, parlays? Hell, you even want to go to the casino. You can do all of that at betonline.ag. Whip out your mobile device at the end of the show and sign up today. Use the Believe promo code BLEAV. That's BLEAV. You'll get 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Again, that's betonline.ag. Betonline.ag. All right. Let's get this thing rolling, y'all. Blaine Smith says AYS Y2J. Yeah, everybody likes when I do the Rob Van Dam. I don't know why. I have no idea. I did it one time. It was a hit. Interesting. Interesting. Ryan Thibodeau says Mr. Producer. Yeah. That's what Zach is. He is our producer. All right, let's get into this. Hold on. Before we get into it, I see Jeremy Fontana. He says Mike Jones. Every time the name Mike Jones is uttered, now we can't do it all day because we'll be playing that stupid song all night long. It's not stupid, but you know what I mean. So every time we see it, we see some Mike Jones, we're just gonna hit this. Is that fair? Is that fair? Oh, and if we have some breaking news during the show, I'm telling you, we're growing, y'all. If we got some breaking news, you're going to hear this sound tonight too. And then Zach will come in and give us that breaking news. All right, let's talk about this. I have seen a lot of you today on social media in reference to some things going around from some LSU football players, not getting into depth with that. You sent it to me. You want us to talk about it. Fine, let's get there. And I know this is something that we have exhausted. I know that this is something that we've, some people believe that I exaggerated. Some people even believe that there was a hatred from me to a specific player at this position. But today, it was a little known that some of the receivers or a receiver may or may not have a little bit of an issue with some of the quarterbacks on this team and the preparation and work. And today, with everything going on with LSU's media, the old media and the new media, some media saying, well, Brian Kelly told quarterbacks they can't throw during the offseason and crazy shit like that. Crazy, right? We have been sitting here for 2 months telling you two things. I'm going to tell you something again, just in case you didn't hear it the first time. I want you to hear it again. LSU was always wanting to entertain a transfer quarterback outside of Miles Brennan. I'm going to tell you this, and Big J journalism, I'm going to do it again. LSU still kicking the tires on other quarterbacks that may or may not hit the transfer portal. That sounds weird. I'm having a lot of people hit me up. I don't know. Hold on. Zach, do I sound good on your end? Okay. Just making sure. Give me a thumbs up if I sound good. There's a lot of comments saying can't you sound weird or that something sounds weird. Just making sure if we sound good. So everybody give me the thumbs up if y'all can hear it. Yeah, we're good. Okay. Everybody, the whole comment section is like, no, you don't sound good. But I want to give you this. So let's get back to it. I want to give you this. LSU still entertaining other quarterbacks. And other quarterbacks that are going to be in the portal or what they project to be in the portal. I don't know if Emory Jones, who just went into the portal from the University of Florida, is going to wind up or be at LSU. Don't know that. I will tell you this at the very slightest. LSU is going to continue to entertain it. I don't know how to put this. Maybe I should say it like Ron Burgundy. I don't know how to put this. But the reason that LSU went after Jayden Daniels is because there was a problem at the LSU quarterback position. Whether you want to hear it, whether you don't want to hear it, maybe you believe something and you don't want it to fully embrace what you believe in. The facts don't care about your feelings at this point, and you need to prepare yourself. You 1,000% need to prepare yourself for what Brian Kelly and Mike Denbrock's going to bring into this offense. Spring starts tomorrow officially. As soon as Brian Kelly hits that podium, it's on. You want to talk about a new era is underway. Guys, it's on. It's over. Ed Orgeron is done. You are going to hit the field, and one of those people that were from the transfer portal that we talked about so much is going to be Jayden Daniels. Now, I don't know if Jayden Daniels is going to be the QB1 right out the gate. I don't know that yet. No clue. But let me tell you this, and it doesn't matter if Jayden Daniels ever takes a snap at LSU, ever. What it matters is that Brian Kelly is sending a message to every, I don't want to just even say quarterback, but every player in that locker room. He's sending it to the fan base. I do not care what you think or what you believe. Who should be starting at QB1? Who should be the guy at QB1? LSU has had a little bit of an issue. You have players out there actively talking about their quarterbacks not being able to go out with them and throw on their own and get extra work. I know what some will say. Well, Blake, you got to rest your shoulder. Here comes spring football. Excuse my language when I say this. A bull manure. Bull manure. That is the biggest stone cold lie of all time. No quarterback's coach, no head coach is ever going to tell his quarterback, barring injury, not to go throw with his receivers one-on-one without them being around. Nobody. That is a stone cold lie. So you want to now know why Jane Daniels is coming in and why LSU needed him more than anything. It's because you got a dog or a guy that's been a dog at another school. I mean, legitimately went through a QB competition and won it. Went in there as a freshman. Through all the turmoil, continued to play. And through chaos, said, look, I've done as much as I can here. I've graduated and I'm going. And for everybody that talked about Jane Daniels, oh, he quit on his team. He left his team. He didn't finish. He didn't do this. He didn't do that. Joe Burrow was also a grad transfer, and you didn't say a Rudy Poo thing. The old saying goes, iron sharpens iron, right? That's how the old saying goes. What's the difference here? So no matter what I come out here and say, like legitimately, no matter what I say, are you going to even believe it? LSU is going to entertain another quarterback too, besides Jaden Daniels, if both Garrett Nussmeier and Miles Brennan leaves. Is Miles Brennan taking this seriously? It's something that you probably don't want to talk about. Some of you. Yeah, Blake, he's been here. He's loyal to LSU. Loyalty to LSU has absolutely nothing to do with going in and putting in that work. Nothing. It's called the grind. Everybody else is doing it, so do you. You need to be there too. You need to be there too. Whether it be Miles Brennan, Jane Daniels, and the guy that I've come to really enjoy his friendship, and Mike Jones Jr. Mike already knows. We've had these discussions. You got to put in, and he's coming here and talked about it. He's not naive enough to know that you got to go out there and put in that work. It's here, y'all. And there's going to be changes like we haven't seen before. Here's something that you might not be ready for. Something that you might not be ready for is the access to Brian Kelly and the things that you're going to see and know about this football team. There's nothing to hide. Are you ready? It's like the D-Generation X song. Are you ready? D-Generation X. There's nothing to hide when you can go out there and kick somebody's ass. Lions do not care about sheep. And in this pun, tigers don't care about sheep either. Because the lion might be the king of the safari, but the tiger's the king of the jungle. And we got to get that. You know, this feels to me like a movie in a sense. You got to go get that eye of the tiger back. Is Brian Kelly Apollo Creed or is he not? You got to get the eye of the tiger back. You haven't had it. You got to put in that work to win national championships. When Joe Burrow sat at Nichols and said, we're going to score 40 points up on everybody's ass, people laughed at him. You know why he knew that he was going to be able to do that? Not because of his talent, not because of Jamar Chase, not because of Justin Jefferson, not because of Clyde Edwards-Helaire, not because of Lloyd Cushenberry, not because of Thad Moss, not because of Joe Brady, not because of Steve Ensminger, not because of George Munoz, because they put in that work. That's why. It's not just an LSU thing. You're never, and I mean ever, going to achieve anything if you don't put in that work. Nothing. Get into this football team, and I'm going to get to this Rafino's rants. You're damn skippy, I am. Ron Higgins, somebody send it to Ron. I don't care at this point. I never really cared. But I want to say this. You have pieces, and I'm going to go on record, Blake's being a homer. Call me a homer. Call me a homer. I don't care what you call me. They have talented pieces all across the board. You don't have top 10 recruiting classes, top 5 recruiting classes, top 6 recruiting classes, and there's not talent across the board. Sorry. 247 ESPN, Yahoo, Google, Google Earth, what's this thing that we're on? Well, I don't even know what this, Safari, whatever. Everybody that does a recruiting board doesn't miss it. Does not miss it. Does not miss on that many recruits. They just don't. You know who they didn't miss on? Mason Smith, Jaquelin Roy. They missed on Miles Frazier, but he's a freshman All-American. They didn't miss on Jaden Daniels. Nobody's saying this team's going to win a national title. 9-3 is a damn good season. Let me say this before we get to Carter, because Carter's going to be here in 4 minutes. And if I get through in enough time, we'll bring Zach in here. I don't think we might have to squeeze Zach here at the end of the show. Let me say this, because the people that push this narrative about, like, whatever player, this guy's been loyal, that guy's been loyal, this guy's been doing this guy's been doing that, is our media core. You're going to have to base your own, no matter, even if it's me, you're going to have to base your own opinions on what you see, what you know, what you believe, what you trust, who you trust. And I got to say this. We're talking about on the field stuff. But those same guys that you listen to and you talk about in this show and you bring everywhere else, you bring it in Twitter Spaces, you bring in everywhere, are the same guys like Ron Higgins who attack student media today. Now, if you missed it, Ron Higgins, within a nutshell, called out LSU's student media. So, Ron, I do have an open invitation for you. If you would like to come on this show and talk about Big J journalism, and I know what your attack on me is going to be, well, you're not a journalist. I understand it. But it's funny because when you're attacking student media who don't know any better, you make yourself look like an ass. You're not really a journalist, dog. There's 368 people in this thing live right now. We have more people live in this show than you have people read your columns in a weekly basis. That's not a shot at you. Online media sourcing is dead like that. Reports, unless it's big time news. You want to take pot shots at people. You want to be a bully on social media. Come be a bully here. I don't play with that man. I will give him an open invitation. He is more than welcome to come on this show. I'm not gonna tolerate it. But because they're excited in their first big media coverage, so what? Take them aside and tell them about it. Do not go over social media with it. And I don't want to say put down on them, because it's even worse than putting down on them. It's worse than putting down on them when you take that stuff to Twitter. Take them aside like Mike Scarborough did for me. And tell me things that I do and do not need to be doing. There's a lot of tough conversations that Mike Scarborough from TigerBait.com had to have with me on things that I probably shouldn't be doing. Didn't listen to him all the time. I made an ass out of myself. He was right. He was right. But one thing, too, and I know that Scott Rabelais of The Advocate, he also has an open invitation. We're going to get to Carter Bryant here in just a second. I know Scott Rabelais also got into this mix. Scott, you legitimately let an attorney who does not cover sports talk about sports and has political coverage about Bobby Jindal, John Bel Edwards, and every state representative alive on God's green planet inside the state of Louisiana. You let that guy write a media piece about football and basketball on why LSU should get the death penalty. You let that be run. And you're asking, and now all of a sudden, here the student media is doing something wrong because Pointer shot a three from the corner and she drained that sucker. Kim Mulkey is going live on the sidelines, on the bench. She's running shit because she's a queen boss. So what? Teach them. My God. If you're going to bully somebody or attempt to bully somebody on Twitter, please come after my ass. That's where we'll end it. I'm not going to put up with it. Bring that, as DC says from Wild and App, bring that ass here. These comments, I know Carter's going to have to follow this. These beliefs do not go to my guest that's coming up in just a minute. They don't. But as Ed Orgeron would say, it's Tell the Truth Tuesday. Tell the Truth Monday, isn't it? Well, shit, it's Tuesday. I'm going to use it. All right, here comes Carter. We got to get to him. Let's do this. Let's go to Gramco, our good friends over at Gramco. Pay some bills around this thing. We got a lot of spring football to talk about. Whew. Carter's going to bring it to us. But let's go to Gramco and our good friend Carol Foss over at State Farm. Guys, I've got to talk to you about our good friends over at Gramco. They are a Delta 8 company based out of the state of Florida. They are founded by college football junkies like you and I. And I'm not sure if you're really familiar with Delta 8, but you really need to be. Gramco is an absolute leader in this field. They've got phenomenal products that I just had to tell you about. First of all, the Wake and Bake coffee, guys, absolutely spectacular. The gummies as well. They're literally the best on the market. Go to thegramco.com right now and use the promo code AYS25. That's thegramco.com, AYS promo code 25, AYS25 for 25% off on that purchase order. Jump on this fast because it's perfect. It's for the holidays, anniversaries, and everyday use. Gramco is hemp-derived and completely legal inside the state of Louisiana. No medical card is needed, and the shipping will be discreet. You must be 21 years older to apply. And our good friends over at, or my good friend Carol Foss over at State Farm, 985-395-4300, 985-395-4300. Auto, home, and life insurance. Is the gas prices high as hell? Yeah, they are. You need to reduce some funds from somewhere? What about home, auto, and life insurances? Give them a call today for the free consultation. That's Carol Foss over at State Farm, 985-395-4300. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. All right. We got our good friend Carter, the Power Bryant. Carter, I know that my words just now do not reflect on what you may believe or think or anything like that, but I'm not sure if you saw today the things on Twitter between the old guard LSU media and some of the new. But what are your official thoughts? I know that I freaked out, but I really don't like a bully. What do you think what's going on here, brother? And by the way, how are you?
I'm fantastic. So I'll be brief because I tweeted out a few things because I was a part of student media, and I've also been, part of like professional media, right?
Big
Where
J journalism is what they call it, correct?
big J, capital J journalism. I
Okay.
also have
Okay.
I also have a journalism degree, Blake.
You don't
So
say.
you
Holy
don't,
moly.
and you know what? It's worth nothing. Look, hey, no, 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 no. I will say this. I will say this. In all seriousness, I am a very happy Manship School of Mass Communication graduate, right? And I used to do shows in Hodges Hall, which is a student journalism site. And I'm telling you, the student media people are around are still working in media today. One of them is working like CBS. He's the lead producer of CBS, like news, everything. And a lot of my friends that were with the Reveille, they're all doing big things. And I worked in radio, and I had a bunch of radio and broadcasting friends go on and do big things. One of my best friends works for the Minnesota Vikings now, and she's like their official broadcaster. So look, I've been on multiple sides of this, and I've also made student journalism mistakes. The one thing you don't do, the childish thing, the student mistake, is ethering these young men or women. I had one of the reporters reach out to me, so I said a tweet and I said, if there's any student journalists that want to reach out to me, and one of them did, and I won't say who. Because there's no reason to ether these kids. Mistakes are made, right? I made them. Everybody made them. This was the most childish thing I think I've seen. This high horse noble act. It's all BS. Nobody gives a rip. Nobody gives a flying you know what about it. And this is coming from someone who has a journalism degree. And yes, those students made a mistake. They shouldn't have done what they did. But really, it wasn't the most raw Homer kind of thing. So, yes, I'm no longer officially a journalist. I don't claim to be a journalist, but I've covered Congress. I've been on Capitol Hill. I've done actual journalistic things. And look, there are some things that are very serious, and there are some journalists out there who do unbelievable work in politics and sports. But covering a basketball game or even a football game, student journalists are going to make mistakes. It's not as important. So it drove Blake. I had a phone call with you earlier today. I'm not going to say what I said on the phone call, what I'm on here. That was really low blow. I've lost a lot of respect for those two older reporters. I know people are ready to move on and talk about other stuff. That to me was just really, really, really bad mentorship. But on to spring football, I know people are probably tired of this topic, but thanks for giving me this platform to sound off. And if there are any student journalists, feel free to reach out, because I've made those mistakes before myself, but Twitter wasn't around then for older reporters to ether me into the high heavens like they did.
No doubt.
It's horrible. But Blake, I'm really excited here to talk about some football. I'm not a baseball guy. I am excited to see my guy Trey Morgan balling out with the great hair. That was one of the sickest plays I've ever seen, Blake. Are you kidding me? Sliding and sidearming that thing. I was like, man, that looked like freaking Ernie Banks out there making that play. I was like, holy crap. So I guess I got to get myself to the box to see Trey Morgan play. I'm excited. But football. I'm ready to talk football. I'm sorry.
He's the baseball Michael Vick. That's what I'm. Man. That's the swag he plays with. Like that's what I'm going to call Trey Morgan, is the baseball's Michael Vick. But Carter, let's go to there. Look, one thing that's interesting, and I said this a little bit today, and I want to get your thoughts on this. Getting into football, does LSU need Jaden Daniels more than Jaden Daniels needs LSU? The thought process that I had was just because, like, look, man, I mean, you've had issues at that position. Can he come in and solidify it? I think that we maybe have needed him more than he needed us. But what do you think?
Yeah, Jaden Daniels does a lot for your offense as far as like the zone read game is concerned. I've also reached out to a few people I trust in the Pac-12, and on our channel, we've done, some deep analytical dives on EPA per play and the interceptions and all these different things that happened to him, Blake.
Right, right.
And I've got to say, for 2.5 years of his career, he had no turnover issues. It was his final few games where the team just kind of lost it, started playing for themselves, was when his interception problem started to happen. So I'm slowly talking myself into being a Jaden Daniels believer for this one thing, Blake, is Kayshawn was every bit as good as a Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase when he was healthy, just looking at the raw numbers. Now, he needs to come out and ball out so he can, stay on that echelon. But when you just look at the raw numbers, he was that dominant with a lesser quarterback. Jack Besh had one of the best true freshman seasons we've ever seen. You look at his man coverage, his ability to break man coverage and get open, his ability to be physical and like to hit. I just like the way that kid plays. So that's two really big bona fide weapons. And I mean, obviously, Kayshawn's ceiling can't get any higher. We've seen him already break records. I still think Jack Besh's ceiling has not been reached. I'm a big believer in what that young man could do for LSU next year. And then from there, you get Malik, you get BTJ, obviously Kyron Lacey in the news right now. And then obviously you have Jure Jenkins there. So maybe it's not Jaden Daniels so much. It's what's going to surround him next year. And I think, and I feel comfortable saying this now, especially considering Bama has to reload at wide receiver. LSU has by far the best set of receivers in the
No
SEC.
doubt.
And if you go look into like deeper statistics, let's take a metric. Let's go back to Pro Football Focus. They have a stat called WAA, wins above average. Okay. The second most valuable position in college football is the wide receiver position.
Interesting.
And it makes a lot of sense, right? We had Joe, and then we had the best set of receivers ever in the NFL, like rookie wide receivers ever. That's an objective fact. And you saw those guys really carry us to a national championship. So, think of it the same way with Jaden Daniels. He may not have to be Burrow good for Jack and Kayshawn and Jure and those guys to carry us to potentially, hopefully, a 9-win season next year, 9 or 10.
Okay, so that's a lot to break down. So let's break that down bit by bit. I agree with you. Carter, look, and I do remember that there was a 6'2.5", 6'3", 287-pound former offensive lineman who told you Jaden Daniels was a baller. I will digress on that. However, but Carter, here's the thing, and I agree with you. He can get away with some things here that he couldn't get away with at Arizona State. Meaning, like some of the RPOs that I've seen Mike Denbrock run. Look, you may call it an RPO, but like a small little tunnel screen on the outside while you're running a zone read, he pulls it, then he throws it out to Kayshawn Boutte. That in essence, okay, is still under the RPO play call or play card sheet.
Right.
Do you believe, and I don't want to overreact to this, but we're going to start getting in this, and Brian Kelly's going to be talking tomorrow. Do you think that we're going to know right away what this offense is going to do? Because Brian Kelly's given us more access than we've ever had in the last 20 years. Like literally the most access that we've ever had. I mean, we're going to know very quickly what this team's all about from the offensive side and what really their strengths and weaknesses are going to be on that side, right?
Yeah, I think so. And look, this is where Brad Davis plays a huge role this spring. And this is going to be the toughest thing for him, right? He is the only non-new position coach.
Right.
And I think Brian Kelly's going to really push Brad Davis and say, look, let's go into this tabula rasa. Let's go into this clean slate, okay? Give me the 5 best guys that we can possibly put on the field to take us to the next level. Now, obviously, a guy like Tyler Steen, if you're able to land him, that changes a lot for what you're going to do next year. But look, let's take LSU's RPO numbers, right? There's a really good friend of mine, his name's CFB Numbers. He does really good analytical work. And I looked at one of his charts, and I asked you this question a few weeks ago, Blake.
I
This
was
blew
so
my mind.
wrong.
Okay.
I was so wrong.
So I asked Blake this question, and I want people in the chat right now. I see a lot of my viewers in here, and then obviously a lot of your viewers bleed over in here as well. I want everyone in the chat right now to guess, out of 129 college football teams last year, where did LSU rank in RPO pass efficiency out of every team in college football?
Have you said this on your show, Carter?
What?
Have you talked about this on your show? Have you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I brought it
Okay.
up, and we're gonna talk about this tonight. Okay.
Okay.
If you were to guess, I want everyone in the chat right now to guess. Now,
Chris English firing off the So look, very quickly, Carter. We got my answer. Okay, that I sent you. This was pretty much the exact same text I sent you. And then Chris English fires off 5th.
Well, Chris is one of those bleed over guys who watches
Correct.
your channel.
Correct, he is.
So he knows I've talked about this. So we see a lot of people, guessing 47, 48, 10th, 68th, 100th. Bo, this is so funny, from Bo Landry. Shout out to you, Bo. That's such a great name. BEAU.
UX.
Just put an X there at the end, Bo. Go all in. Go all in, Bo.
I mean, you got to put the X. X gonna give it to you.
X gonna give it to. I love it, man. Look, the answer is actually 5th. So LSU had the 5th best passing offense when it comes to EPA per play, which is an efficiency stat, expected points added, right? So that was with Max Johnson at quarterback. And if you go back and you look at the actual plays themselves, you saw LSU was able to manufacture some RPO touchdowns. Devonta Lee's first touchdown of the year was on an RPO versus Central Michigan, right? Or the big touchdown to Kayshawn to start off the second half versus Mississippi State was an RPO, right? And LSU did a lot of good things, not only with the RPO pass, but also just running a simple RPO where you're looking at the running back, and you're also, the wide receiver runs a slant. It's not rocket science, right? And what's very interesting about that is, that's not an overly complicated offense to run. And what's very interesting about that is you don't necessarily need a mobile quarterback to run. So, as much as we like Jaden Daniels to potentially be the guy next year, you don't have to have a mobile quarterback to do the RPO offense. But I will say this, Blake, to your point, it does make it more effective, right? Because you can get the zone read out of it. And you could just do so much more stuff out of it. But it is very interesting that a lot of those wide receivers in particular that were really effective in the RPO, the two in particular, Kayshawn and Jack, are back next year, and they're hungry and they're ready to go. So it makes me really excited about what Brian Kelly's going to do. And hopefully he does keep that RPO going for LSU moving forward.
So one more question for me, Carter, and then we're going to fire in. We got a lot of questions coming in to you from the chat. Do you remember? Let me ask you very quickly. You are a big Colts fan, correct? Or am I wrong with that? Were you a big Colts Peyton Manning fan, or did I just make? Okay,
I love him.
Here's what I think about the RPO, and Peyton talked about this more than what we see with today's RPO is remember when Peyton and them used to run play action? They would pull a guard and they would fake it, and then they would throw a slant or a dig or a drag route right behind it. He actually called that an RPO because based off what the defense gave him, even though he had his back to the defense when he's doing the play fake, how they would react is how he would do things. And that was coming in from out of center. Now, Carter, this is what I'm going to say to you, and this is just my belief. It's the modern day triple option. You're either going to give it, you're going to pull it, you're going to throw the slant, or you're going to run. That's it. You legitimately have two or at max 4 options on that read. There's not more than 4. So football's very cyclical.
Right.
Would you call it today's modern day triple option?
Yeah, it's very similar to that. But here's the thing, right? Blake, I shared a conversation with you earlier today. I'm lucky to know a lot of offensive coordinators, right? And I get their feedback off of them.
Name drop. Name drop.
Well, here's the thing:
I'm joking.
some of them are professional coaches in Europe. Some of them are professional coaches in Canada. Some coach in the States, right? And I keep them anonymous for reasons because they can get critical of certain things or whatever. But they do a good job of explaining this to me. I do a lot of film breakdowns and stuff, and it's very interesting how complex offense gets. But the most important thing is to make sure you find something you're good at and develop
Correct.
that. And look, Sean McVay
Oh,
did
it's
not
so
reinvent the wheel with this offense. Now, his play calling can suck sometimes, but it's a very simple offense, right?
No
So,
doubt.
so that's going to be the big thing for LSU. Find something that works for them, practice it, and go from there. And I can't wait to see it. It's a very weird time because we were in the same position last year with two new offensive and defensive coordinators that we really didn't know exactly what they were going to do. I know it's kind of a scary point in time, but it does make me feel a little bit more comfortable that Brian Kelly's leading that charge as an actual former play caller of both sides of the football compared to Ed Orgeron, who wasn't ever a play caller. And I think that's part of the reason why things started to get so sour last year, Blake, is that you had two first-year Power 5 play callers. It's not so much that Durante and Jake weren't the absolute best or most consistent, is that the head coach on top of them has never called plays.
Correct. Just didn't know what to do. Let's just call it what it is.
So, look, there's plenty of skepticism about Matt House, about what he's going to do defensively. I'm one of those. I'm one of those guys that's going to be very interested to see what he's going to do. But it does help having a head coach who's a little bit more X and O savvy.
Very quickly, and then I'm going to tell Zach to bring up some of these Carter hashtag Ask Carter questions.
Yeah.
I'm basing this opinion. We're not going to go deep into it tonight. LSU has the best defensive line in the country. I'm going to leave it on today's date of our Lord, 3/22/22. Let me write this down in my handy dandy notebook. Blake Rafino said that LSU has the best defensive line in the country. So, Carter, I want you to keep me accountable since we were talking about Big J journalism earlier.
There you go.
Call me out if and when I'm wrong. Zach, fire in some of these questions for Carter, and you can bring your beautiful mug on the screen if you want to ask him the questions yourself here.
There you go.
All right, so we got this one. What's up, Carter? How you doing, man?
Doing good, man. Let me know. I'll do your show whenever, man. I like what you guys are doing, and congrats on joining AYS, man. This is such a cool thing.
I appreciate it.
It's good seeing you on the come up, man. Go right on ahead.
Thanks, man. Well, we got Ryan Thibodeau in here. He's asking, ask Carter, do you see Besh as a better slot wide receiver or outside receiver?
I think that's a good question.
I think you can do both, right? Obviously, we'll see what LSU wants to do with their personnel groupings, right? Are you going to run more 10? Are you going to run more 11 where Jack is the tight end and the 11 personnel? 10 personnel, of course, is 4 wide receivers and no tight ends. And for me, Jack's blocking last year, Blake, and it can always get better, but that was his first year ever actually being a blocker.
Ever.
And he actually did fine. It was fine, right? You don't expect him to be George Kittle. Right.
Well, it's like he blocked more people on Facebook in his life before he got to LSU than he ever blocked on the line of scrimmage.
Right. So yeah, I think Jack will mostly work out of the slot, and I still think he's going to play some hybrid tight end next year.
All right, Zach, firing another one.
All right, this one's from Dylan Allen. Do you think we go after another QB to add after what Lacey said today?
I like Dylan here. I need to know if he wiped the blood of the deer on his forehead. Tell me, Dylan. I need to know if he. I need to know.
Remember who you are. Head ass.
I love it. Huh?
Oh, bro. Oh, God. It's so true. But look, that's a beautiful buck right there, Carter.
I'm telling you. I mean,
a beautiful buck.
Nuck if you buck, right? If we're gonna
Hey, Dylan got him a nice buck right there, bro. I'm telling you.
Dylan said he didn't. But yeah, really quickly here, Dylan. No, LSU's done in my mind.
He didn't do it, Carter, very quickly. He said, I did not. Damn. He's going to have to kill another one and do it for us. What do you think, Carter? You think he needs to do that?
Yeah, just do it, man. I know you're only supposed to do that
once you kill your first deer, right?
Yeah, when you kill your first deer. But I'm telling you, Dylan, I love it, man. It's a great buck. But keep them going, man. I'll get to as many as possible. Let's go.
All right, we got Ricky Collette here.
Go ahead.
Asking, QB's best friend is a running game. Are you excited about LSU's chances to run the ball better this year with Emory and other running backs?
That's such a great question. Look at Rick. Good smile right there. I've gotten to know Rick a good little bit. He's such a good dude. And I'm glad he's still supporting you, man. And Rick's come over to my channel as well.
Oh, that was the slide over. Rick was a slide over.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate you, man. Rick's a very sharp football mind.
No, I appreciate you. A loyal listener is a loyal listener. Look at you.
What's really interesting though is I think it has more to do with the running concepts that LSU is going to do next year. And Blake, this is going to make you feel a lot better as an offensive lineman. There have been more studies that show that the blocking is way more important than the back actually running the football. Now,
hold on one second. Now, you mean to tell me that Ty Davis Price didn't do it on his own last year?
He didn't. He did not.
Okay, continue.
Right? Okay, so look, there are very few running backs that move the needle big. Now, you're lucky at LSU, you have a lot of those guys, right? Mm-hmm. Jay Hill's one of those guys that moved the needle. And obviously, Leonard Fournette's the biggest example. But for the most part, your offensive line is what really, carries your running game. And
no doubt,
the throw more so opens up the pass than the other way around. So you got to find the guys that you really trust. And that starts with finding that next center. Will it be Deli? I know, Blake, you've been sharing a few times that Deli might get some looks there. So
Deli, baby.
That's step number one. Get that done and then go from there.
All right, last one, and then Carter, I promise you we'll get out of here. Go to Derek Gordon's Zach. Derek Gordon there at the bottom.
Yeah, Derek Gordon says, ask Carter, do you think Jaden Daniels is going to make believers out of all the people saying he won't make the cut in the SEC, even with the talent around him?
There you go, Derek. Derek inspired me to get a cut today. I like that, man. Look at that, Derek. That's good. I mean, Juwan Howard is scared of Derek's shape. Look at that. That thing is razor sharp, man. I freaking love that. But yeah.
No, dude. Not Juwan Howard, bro.
Dude, Juwan Howard and Jalen Rose, man. Everyone on the Fab Five, whoever the barber was in Ann Arbor, I like you, man. They kept everybody uptight there, baby. But look, I hope Jaden Daniels makes believers out of skeptics. I will say this, speaking to people that were around Notre Dame, Brian Kelly can get a little hot with his quarterbacks if the turnover issues don't get fixed. So that's the big thing. I have been very defensive of Jaden Daniels' turnovers, but even he would admit the USC game in particular, those are two really bad picks. He has a tendency to throw interceptions on the first drives of games. Did that 3 times last year. It's unacceptable. That sets the tone, right, for the rest of the game. So, that's going to be the biggest thing. We know Jaden Daniels is a playmaker. First thing, you got to win the job. I'm not going to count Miles out. I'm not going to count, anyone out at this point. But the second thing is obviously, can you fix that? That is a non-negotiable for a Brian Kelly coach team, right? The one major holdover, and all coaches say this, but Ed Orgeron was very turnover averse, right? That's why I love Danny Antling. Yeah, that's why I love Danny Antling so much. Danny Antling only threw 2 interceptions his final year. So that's going to be the big thing. Fix the turnovers, and Jaden Daniels can do big things. Just Jack Besh and Kayshawn and Dre and those guys, Malik, obviously, it's just a monster, and BTJ, hopefully he lives up to that potential that he has. So we'll see what happens with that. But the turnover, it's just got to get cleaned up.
Sleeper for me, Carter, and we'll get you out of here, is Chris Hilton. That's my sleeper.
Chris Hilton, baby. Let's go, Zachary. Let's go. I love it, man.
Chris Hilton.
He's going to be fully healthy.
I'm hearing some very interesting rumblings.
Well, let's go, Chris.
Very interesting rumblings about Chris Hilton. You know, there's one thing, Carter, you can't teach on God's green earth: speed. Now, that's what makes the movie Rocky 3 bullshit, is because you can't teach speed and then all of a sudden he gets it. Apollo Creed is not Jesus Christ Almighty. So let's just put that to bed, right?
Right. Yeah. Look, speed's the most important asset you can have. And that's what's very interesting, Blake, is, take a guy like Landon Ibieta, right? That's probably his best attribute. You go look at
that and route running, right?
Yeah, route running, and he's just really, really, really fast. Like, he's definitely he can fly. So yeah, speed is the most important thing. But we sometimes think of speed as 40-yard dash. Sometimes we think of speed as mile per hour. A lot of it is play speed and processing speed, right? And look, I'm a big Jack Besh guy. The way he reads the game is so fast. I know he wears the same jersey number. I know I make the comparison all the time. It reminds you a lot of Jarvis Landry, how quickly Jarvis would process information on the field. We remember the one-handed grab and creativity and all that stuff. But, some people just have that ability, and Jack has that ability to just get in the open zone, right? Go back to Texas A&M, 4th and 15. We need a play. We got to find someone to get a play. Jack just got open. It wasn't reinventing the wheel. It was just getting open, getting past the sticks, getting out of bounds, and keeping that drive alive, right? We remember the Duray catch, but it was Jack who kept that drive alive. So, that's a key thing. Not only play speed, but processing speed.
That's what makes him Carter the Power Bryant. Follow him on Twitter at Carter the Power Hour LSU. Dude, I love you so much, man. You're just so good at your job. That is what Colin Cowherd would call Big J journalism.
Big J, baby.
I love it. I missed the comment earlier. It said new camera. Who dis? I love it.
So Blake, I will be live in a second. I do have a big announcement tonight on the channel, and I'm very fortunate to have this opportunity, and I'm very fortunate to have you as a friend. I wish people could listen to some of the conversations we have privately about.
Oh God,
some of the prospects we like. We disagree on some guys. We like some guys as well. I'm telling you, man. And look, I'll say this. All right, I'll say it on your channel. I haven't even said this on my channel yet. I'm gonna say it. Okay, Xavier Thomas. I'm a believer. I wasn't a believer at first, and I know this is going to be one of those scenarios where he's going to go to Mississippi State and be a really good player, and everybody's going to be like, "Well, how did we miss out on Xavier Thomas?" Right? And I'm not going to be that guy. I'm just not, because recruiting wide receivers are so tough already. There's only so many slots and targets to go around. But that kid's going to be special. That kid is going to be a beast. I just wish he didn't go to an SEC West school. But Leach is going to get that kid, and I think Xavier's going to be a 40, 50 catch guy within his first 2 years.
If they could have heard our conversation Monday, our text and phone call, if it were ever recorded, would have been hotter than the Carter 3 in 2008.
Oh man, it would have been the hottest mixtape of all time.
Lollipop Lil Wayne would have nothing on the hot Let the Beat Bill. Beer would not have anything on our conversation Monday.
They would have been like, that meme there. Boy,
they would have been like, what did this dude do to Blake? That's what they would have said. That's exactly. All right, Carter the Power Bryant. I love you, brother. We'll be in your show soon.
See you,
he's going live, Power Hour LSU. We'll see you, brother.
See you, bud.
All right, that is Carter. Let's do this break, and then we'll talk a little bit, and then we'll end the show. We'll bring Zach in here and finish it out. Want to talk about our good friends, Richie Roche over at Roche's Lawn and Landscape. 225-937-7220. That's 225-937-7220. Guys, he's going coming to our house. He's going to be doing all the landscape and everything we do. The way that he meticulously does everything is so spot on. He could do it 3D. He could show you what your yard's going to look like at the end or in the beginning and what it would look like at the end before that they ever do it. That's Richie Roche over at Roche's Lawn and Landscape. Give him a call. Tell him your good friend Blake Rafino over at AYS sent you on by. All right. Let's do this very quickly. Zach, I'm going to bring you in here. Let's end the show with this. You can fire in your questions, hashtag Ask Blake. We'll bring up the questions here. But let's end on some NFL free agency. Look, Zach, I got to ask you, the free agent market in the NFL has been pretty hot here the last couple of days. Outside of Deshaun Watson, I would say, what have you monitored? What have you seen? Maybe we'll get a little background music in the back. But what have you seen that has been the biggest free agent move to you so far in the NFL?
Man, well, I mean, even though we are here in Memphis, I have to say we are definitely Saints fans. Love the Saints. So really, I've just been monitoring everything that has been going on with the Saints. Obviously, the Deshaun Watson just drama and everything that is Deshaun Watson and all that, how that played out and was drawn out. It seemed like forever. It almost seemed like a movie, like you were just waiting for the huzzah ending. And finally, you're left on a cliffhanger because he goes to the Browns and everybody was expecting him to go to the Saints or the Falcons. And it was just kind of like, whoa, he's going to the Browns. But for me, I've just been kind of monitoring what the Saints are going to be looking at. I think they definitely need some guys at the skill positions. You know, I feel like they need a tight end, they need a wide receiver, and especially with the running back situation and everything that happened in the offseason, you probably need to go and find you a running back, and then probably on the offensive line. I mean, it seems like everything that they need is on the offensive side of the ball. So there's a lot of big names that you can go and get. I mean, tied in, there's Kyle Rudolph, there's Eric Ebron, of course, a wide receiver. Everybody's talked about Jarvis Landry. You know, AJ Green's coming near the tail end of his career, but he's out there as well. Emmanuel Sanders. So, you know, there's just a lot of guys out there, and I'm interested to see, you know, how the Saints can end in free agency.
I think for me, it's going to be Loyal Collins. I'm going to go out and say that, you know, him
For sure.
coming and playing right tackle for Joe Burrow is obviously, at least for me. Now, it doesn't matter that he went to LSU, but when you have an offensive line that is that bad and you bring that caliber of offensive lineman into Cincinnati with Joe Burrow, I think that that's very lethal. But we'll see. I mean, look, and I see some people in here asking, it's something that maybe the Saints should have entertained. Look, when you're going after Deshaun Watson and you're not able to get La'el Collins, could you have kicked Ryan Ramczyk over left tackle and bring in La'el Collins and let him play right tackle? I don't know what the Saints do there. I know that they maybe need a tight end. Let's see what Adam Troutman can do. Let's see if he can finally pick it up and get things moving. Because if he can, I think that he'll be fine there. Let's do one more and then we'll end it here. Jameis Winston signs. Now, I talked about this today. I posted it on YouTube and I talked about it. Dude, Jameis is only 28 years old. He's still a relatively young guy. It's still a guy that has a lot of upside. 14 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, didn't turn the ball over, won them a lot of games. You know, when I'm looking at this, Zach, and I see Jameis Winston, and I'm just pulling up my notes from earlier today, but there were multiple games where Jameis Winston were like 13 of 21, 128 yards and 2 touchdowns against the Patriots, 5 touchdowns against the Packers. You look over to Seattle. He has to rush for 8 yards and 8 carries and 40 yards, has to lead them to win against Seattle. Multiple games. I mean, the worst game that you could say that he had was Washington when he went 15 of 30 for 279 yards, 4 touchdowns and a pick. So that to me, I think Jameis has got a lot more mature. What says you?
I agree. And I mean, you know, when Jameis was in before the injury, you know, he looked good. As you mentioned, you rattled off the stats there, you know, and I think this was a must for the Saints, especially when you kick the tires on Deshaun Watson, you weren't able to land him. You know, kudos to them for going and re-signing Jameis Winston. I feel like that was probably the biggest need. I mean, quarterback is the biggest position in all of sports. And so to go and get Jameis and a guy that you've had that's been in the program, that's familiar with this team and familiar with the offense, you know, I think that's huge for the Saints.
I agree with you. And that is exactly, dude, you killed it week 2 or episode 2 for you. You're killing it. if you're gonna mess up and you're gonna keep yourself staying around here a little bit longer. What do you think about that?
Hey, well, I will stay as long as you like.
All right, that's our good friend Zach Lee, our producer. My name's Blake Rafino. This is Are You Serious Sports, guys. We'll see you tomorrow, or not really tomorrow, because look, we got the LSU baseball game, but we'll see you Thursday. Until then, guys, peace out, Girl Scouts.